We hosted Bayer Leverkusen this week. This was an early match this week. It was Tuesday. That was a little difficult to get used to, but we entered the fixture with a draw, essentially, right? So, ultimately it was just win at home and we're home free, and we did that in superb fashion. So mission accomplished there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to breeze too quickly through the game. Obviously, it was a definite benefit to get the penalty late. Good conversion for Havertz, and it kind of set us up for this game at home. And I think if there were criticisms to be had about the way Arsenal played in the first leg, about maybe sitting back, maybe not being as aggressive going forward, Bayer Leverkusen was sitting deep. They were, defending robustly. We did not do that this time out. They came ready, and it felt for much of the first half almost like they were finding their range. Like they kept getting closer and closer and closer.
Stay on target.
And the keeper made a couple of really good saves there. But it just felt like we were really putting the pressure on them in the first half.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like you said, the scoring felt inevitable when it finally happened. We're like, okay, there we go. It wasn't like out of nowhere where we just like that soccer goal a few weeks back in the 7th minute against Brighton, where it's like, okay.
Oh, yeah. Just rolled it through his legs.
Yeah.
I will say, though, given the way the game was progressing, it felt like it was just going to be like an ugly, dirty goal, a set piece goal, or so. It was going to be something like that. So if there was a surprise for this one, it was the fact that it was Eza on the half volley like that. Woo!
That was amazing.
Oh my goodness, what a goal!
And right into the corner. What a shot.
Oh, I mean, to get the bounce like that. I mean, he scored. I mean, you see, even Eza himself his celebrate, like he can't even celebrate. Just kind of, pointing to the badge. Just kind of swaggered around for a little. Saliba comes over. I love the way Saliba celebrates other people scoring. Saliba comes over like running towards him with his hands on his head. They said Zubimendi was there. You see him in the back, just going like. He's just standing there kind of stunned. Yeah. It was an incredible shot. But the kind of thing you need to do to break, it's one of the ways you break down. We talked about this over the years. One of the ways you break down a team that's packed tight defensively is you shoot from distance. And we had that Eza with the shot there. And he found that space. Like you'll notice that we've talked about this in some of those other instances too, right? Where when those teams drop back defensively, that leaves space open at the top of the box, and Eza is able to get into that space. The pass finds him there, and then gets the bounce, and then the half volley, and just struck it perfectly.
Yeah, you can't ask for more. I mean, and I feel like it's funny. You see that it seems to be almost every match where there's like a half volleying. Like the players are very ready for it. They just stick their one foot up parallel to the ground and just swivel on their hips. They clearly train for when that happens. They look ready. It's I remember the first time I saw it, and this is probably a few years ago now, but it may have even been Trossard. I've seen him do that a few times now, but it's just it blew my mind, and now I'm seeing it more. It's something they might be practicing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a play that it's kind of has happened to many guys before. It's to the extent you can practice bouncing the ball in front of somebody, but it kind of goes a lot to the things that make them the kind of athletes they are. It's not just the fast twitch muscles and the physical conditioning. It's also that kind of hand-eye coordination, or I guess foot-eye coordination in this case. I mean. Because that's hard. That is much harder than he makes it look. The ability to time that perfectly. You'll see a lot of times. I mean, if you or I tried it, the most likely outcome is we just whiff on the ball. But I think a lot of times you'll see guys, they mistime it to the point they get under the ball and you half volley it, just sky it up into the stands and nowhere near the target. But he caught that one pure, so he didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't a lot of times with those half volley shots. It's rebounded off the crossbar, the post, the keeper, something like that, and it comes back to them. But that was a ball that he accepted from a pass. Like it
Yeah.
basically like it came into him. I think he played it off his hip or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or like his foot. I think it was like bouncing toward me, like stopped with his foot, but it didn't settle. And then he just turned around and went for it. It was like he wasn't even looking at the goal a lot of the time, like as he
Mm-hmm.
was like preparing to shoot. It was just, really magic.
And apparently at that
But
point in the game, the possession was 52-48.
yeah, what the heck? Like, were you as
I,
surprised as I was when they put that graphic on screen?
yeah, so it's spring break. It was spring break, so I have to go back to work tomorrow. But it was spring break, and so I was in the pub. It's a small crowd on midweek games like this. But yeah, someone that came up with the screen, we all kind of looked at each other. We were like, "What? How?
Yeah,
What?"
I know. I had the same reaction. Like, when?
Yeah,
When did they have it? 48% of the time. Like, yeah,
yeah.
it was baffling.
Because really, honestly, this was a beatdown. I mean, we just came after them relentlessly. Um, And then to the extent that you're a little worried maybe in the second half about, oh, is there going to be a let up? No, we just came out, kept doing it. Just kept doing
Basically,
it. And
yeah, and so eventually the ball lands at Declan Rice's feet, and all of a sudden it's 2-0.
yeah, his was a little different. It was more of a seeing eye line drive there, right? Not far off the ground. Just kisses the inside of the post. I mean, again, in some ways, just as, if not in some ways, maybe more impressive than Ez's goal. But both those two just absolutely leather the ball. Like, really
Oh
just
yeah,
just a tremendous amount of power on those
yeah.
shots. And
There were three guys like triple teaming him, like closing in on him, and he still managed to find that gap through them. I don't know how.
yeah, I mean, like Eza scores and everybody's in shock because it's so incredible. Rice scores because you almost think, wait, he takes the shot, and you're like, oh, that went in. Oh,
Yeah,
like it almost didn't expect that when that ball go when he
right.
lets that one go.
Well, and especially the keeper was just kind of caught flat-footed. Like in
Mm-hmm.
theory, he was close enough. If he had like landed on the ground, arm outstretched, he might have been able to stop that. But he didn't even try. It was just too fast for him to process. I think.
Oh yeah, I think that's and maybe he's being screened a little bit too,
Sure.
with some of the defenders and all that. But yeah, he's just he can't react quickly enough, and he's not going to dive because he's kind of realizes, like, as soon as he sees it, he goes, nah, this isn't. You
Yeah.
at that point, keepers, I've heard from keepers, like, you just kind of hope that he missed. It really is what it comes down to, and he did not miss.
No, that was another great moment. So we had some this week. We can't forget that.
Um,
one thing that was funny that I noticed early in this match, and I didn't make a note of it at the time. I can't remember which player it was or the exact circumstances, but there was a ball where it was, if I'm remembering it correctly, there was a ball bounced up off the pitch somewhere between like the 18-yard box and the touch line, and it bounced into a player's hand that was outstretched in a mostly natural position, but it did clearly hit his hand. And I realized that I'd gotten it completely backwards. When we've talked about this, it was probably last year or the year before, but I had thought that in Europe, they distinguish between hand to ball and ball to hand. And when it's ball to hand, they try to determine like intent, like, was he trying to make his body bigger or something, or was it just like an incident? So whoops, it bounced into him, which this clearly was. I don't even remember. It could have been a Bayer Leverkusen player or Arsenal. I don't remember at this point, but no. Apparently, I had it totally backwards. It's in Europe that they'll call it when it touches your hand, basically no matter what. It's in England where maybe you get away with it if it looks accidental. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, we've seen in several instances the games in the Champions League tend to be called a little more by the book than what we'll see in the Premier League, which certainly has a higher tolerance for physicality, but also also for that sort of that judgment call on the handballs. Whereas in many cases in Europe, you'll see those calls given out kind of as we said, letter of the law. I mean, it bit Manchester City. Same time we were playing, City was playing their second leg against Real Madrid. Went down a man in the first half because yeah, basically a red, hit. Gosh, who was that? Was it Bernardo Silva? Hit a City player in the arm as he's on the goal line defending his own goal line, and so it was dogso. It was
Oh,
so it was a straight red.
yeah.
So
I saw it because I caught they cut to the end of that match after this one was over in the replay
mhm.
that I was watching, and so I saw they were on a red at that point, but I didn't know the circumstance. So
Yeah,
interesting.
it had been in the first half. So yeah,
Hmm.
they were kind of done at that point. I mean, certainly there are a lot of positives to take from the performance overall. Obviously, we played very well. Bayer Leverkusen, again, not the team that went unbeaten in Germany 2 years ago, but still a team with some talent, still a team with some players that can cause us some problems. And we beat them pretty handily. And the team that caused us some problems in the first leg, we beat them pretty handily and did
Hmm.
so. Um, I don't know that we necessarily hit the heights that we saw maybe in some of the like against Atletico Madrid or Bayern in those games. I don't think we were that good, but we were certainly efficient, effective. Honestly, this might have been as good a game as Victor Gyökeres has played in an Arsenal shirt. I thought he was excellent in this
Yeah,
game, and
yeah.
as a striker, it's a little disappointed, obviously, for him that he doesn't get a goal to go with the performance. But honestly, I thought he was very good. I
Hmm.
thought Pierre Hincapié had a really nice game. The defense, to the extent they were tested, Declan Rice was everywhere on the field. Saka was dangerous. It just there's so David Raya had to make like one or two saves, but he made them as he does.
Yeah.
Really just overall an outstanding performance. And in the broader context of the English experience of the Champions League, I think it stands out a little bit. There's only two English teams remaining in the competition, us and Liverpool advancing. I mean,
Right.
Chelsea were dumped out pretty unceremoniously by PSG. City went down hard to Real Madrid. Newcastle got torn apart in the second half by Barcelona, and then also Spurs. Athletic actually put in a pretty good performance in their second leg, and then Athletic kind of finished them off. So yeah, I mean, it's not it is not easy at this stage of the competition. It's not easy, and so
Right.
for us to come with a win and a draw, to get into that last eight, I mean, still unbeaten in the Champions League.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's basically. So one other thing you mentioned all of the team performances in this match. One unfortunate thing that happened is midway through the second half. This was in the 70th minute. Havertz had to come on for Eza, who was moving around with some difficulty after something. I don't know. I didn't exactly see what led to Ez's injury, but it was right before they had a triple sub already planned. So they had to wait for that to finish, and then they were able to finally actually sub him off.
Yeah,
But
and then they got
that, yeah, he was out today too, so it clearly must have been bad.
Yeah, I guess at the time, I think the conversation around us was because yeah, right. I recall that now he does go down, and I think some of the conversation around us was okay. Let's just hope because I feel like we've seen this a couple times this year where a guy like feels something, especially some of those warm up injuries, and like he's like, I thought I felt something. To which point the management's like, all right, nope, shut it down, get him off. Like because
Mm,
we have the kind of depth that we don't need to we don't need to push guys who maybe aren't 100%. You can be precautionary, and at that point, it was shortly after we made it 2-0. So at that point, I think the hope was that it was a little more precautionary. Obviously,
right.
with this, and he's out for England in this international break. Although I'm not complaining about that. But it makes sense. He came out with an injury, wasn't even on the bench for the Carabao Cup final. So it would be a bit unusual for him to accept a call up for England at this point. But
Yeah.
yeah, a little disappointing, especially given how good he had been earlier, in the course of the game.
Yeah. It's actually funny looking at my notes from that section. I totally forgot there was that goal that was called back by VAR too, because I guess again it graced Kai Havertz's hand. The ball did on its way into the goal. So in England, even I think even if that were ball to hand, then
Yeah, no,
That point.
we
Yeah,
had one of those. I think last year in a Premier League game. It's the same kind of thing, and that's direct from the laws of the game. A ball
yeah,
cannot go off even accidentally. The ball cannot go off a
exactly.
hand and go into the net directly into the net. It has to have hit something else afterwards.
Yeah.
And it clearly hits right off his hand and in, and of
Mhm.
course, you try to celebrate. He tries to celebrate it, but I mean, we know. Come on, we know.
Yeah, but another funny thing, did you see the linesman go tumbling onto the field at one point?
Yeah, I saw that, and my first thought was he must have tripped or something. But he goes
Hmm.
for a spill, and so I was like, "Man, that's a heck of a trip. How fast was he moving?" And then they show the replay, and yeah, he ran into the subs.
Yeah, he just was looking perpendicular to the direction of travel, and yeah, the subs were there warming up, and apparently not looking out for him. And ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting because we had this conversation in the pub in that moment because in American football, even your off the field position is supposed to be heavily regulated. You're supposed to be within your bench area, but we also know guys are spread all the way out for whatever reason at various points, and of course the sidelines are packed with people for all kinds of reasons. Um, but I have seen instances where players are outside of where they're supposed to be, but the referee ends up colliding with them because he's running and following the play, and then the team gets in trouble because you're not where you're supposed to be. Um,
right.
but it's funny because I don't know necessarily like the point of the subs is that they are out there warming up and stretching, so they should be over there. Now they
Right.
obviously should be paying more attention, but it was just an interesting kind of contrast to sort of what would
Yeah.
or wouldn't happen or how that's supposed to work. Um, I'm
Yeah,
also thinking of yeah,
it really seems like the where they need to be only applies to the managers. Like they need to be in the technical area. They can't, leave it at least for extended periods.
I was about to say we've seen all the
Yeah.
managers, including Arteta, leave and not get
Yeah.
penalized for it. That's definitely
Yeah.
that's honored in the breach. But
Yeah, they have to. It has to be like I'm thinking of the yellow card that Pep Guardiola received today. There. I guess that was an excessive celebration yellow card, but he was outside the technical area when it was given.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and every once in a while you'll see those, and a lot of times, you'll see Arteta, and he did it this week. He's done it in the last couple of weeks. Like when they score, he turns around and runs into the bench, and I think that's partly like to keep himself content. Obviously, because there's players and the coaches there, and everybody hugs and all
Sure,
that. But
sure,
I do think that's also a way to sort of keep himself contained, so he's not like sprinting down the length of the sidelines.
right.
Because there are times he would like to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
No, that's a good thought. That probably is why he turns around that way. It's at least part of it. Yeah. So no, overall, a good outing, a good way to begin the week and start building the anticipation of the coming cup final this weekend.